Welcome to Journaling with Nature, the podcast for those who want to turn curiosity into wonder, a pencil sketch into a rabbit hole of discovery, a moment of stillness into a life full of joy. I'm your host, Bethan Burton. Let's open the pages of our nature journals and explore this world together. Hello, this is episode 113. I'm happy to be here with you. I hope you're doing well. Today, I want to talk to you about some changes, a little shift in the format of the Journaling with Nature podcast. So I've been putting out this podcast weekly for 2.5 years. It's my joy. I love chatting with nature journalers from all around the world, and I plan to continue. But recently, I've had to take on a new job, and this is squeezing the time that I have for preparing the podcast into a smaller window. And I've found that I'm getting less reliable at getting the podcast out to you on a regular schedule. I'm deeply grateful for the support that I receive on Patreon and from donations. I'd like to take a moment to say a really big thank you to the show's Patreon supporters and to those who donate through PayPal. Shout out to Christopher and Tamara who donated this week. I'm very grateful to you. While these contributions cover the cost of the platforms that I use to record and distribute the podcast, and I really couldn't continue if it weren't for this amazing support, it's still very much a labor of love, and I have to squeeze it in around the rest of my life and work. I want to be able to bring you a podcast on a regular schedule and within a time frame that's possible within this new structure of my week. I considered dropping down to one podcast every second week, which is a schedule that many podcasts adopt, but then I had another idea. Before I tell you my idea, I have a small confession. Although I spend a lot of my time telling people about the benefits of nature journaling, I have to confess that as a personal practice, it's often something that quickly drops off my list when life and work and parenting tasks are taking over my days. I know the benefits. I love the way I feel when I drop into that place of focus and curiosity and oneness that we can feel when we're out there with a sketchbook. And when you've got 1,000,001 things to do, it's hard to prioritize this time. So, my idea for the podcast. I'm going to alternate the format of the episodes so that one week I'll be putting out an episode which will be an interview with a nature journaler as usual, and on the alternate weeks I'll be putting out a short solo episode which will be a nature journal prompt. The thinking behind this is that it will start to get me back into a rhythm with my personal journaling practice, as well as give a little structure and motivation to you, the listener, if you need some ideas or direction with your own practice. I think this could be fun and motivating and a way to keep up a weekly schedule for the podcast as well as connect us as a community. The idea would be that we'd work on the prompt together and then share on social media using the hashtag journalingwithnature. If you're a user of social media, I'll be able to see that and comment, and we'll be able to start off a dialogue. That way we can see what others are creating and get inspired by the ideas and journals of others and stay on track with the rhythm of making time for nature journaling in our week. So this week, our prompt is going to be this: find a rhythm. This first prompt isn't about what to put on your page, but about making a regular space for nature journaling in your week. I know for me, sometimes I don't end up nature journaling because I feel that I have to have a chunk of time to dedicate all at once. But I'd like to encourage you and myself to think about journaling in smaller time windows. It could be as little as 5 minutes at a time. One really good way to establish a habit is to have a regular time to journal that is linked to something you already do in a day. It could be that you eat lunch at a certain time and you have 10 minutes after lunch. That could be a dedicated nature journal time. For me, with my new job, I've been trying to use something called the Pomodoro technique, which is a productivity method where you set a timer and you work for 25 minutes and then you take a 5-minute break. I think that these 5-minute breaks could be a good time for me to step outside and have a moment to nature journal. You might think 5 minutes isn't a lot of time, but when you actually do this, it's quite surprising how much you can notice and note down in just 5 minutes. Also, only having a small amount of time will help us let go of fussiness and perfection. I want to encourage us all to have a nature journaling kit ready to go so that when we have a spare moment in the schedule, we don't have to spend time searching for supplies. I can't tell you how many times I've been searching for supplies and then missed the chance to journal. This might mean having one kit for home nature journaling and a small kit for on the go. I have this very, very tiny kit with a pocket palette from Art Toolkit, which I'm going to fill, and I'm going to use this as my grab and go kit. So our challenge this fortnight is to find a regular space in our week where we can journal. It doesn't have to be a huge commitment, but an amount of time that's doable on a regular basis and built into our routines. Is it in your lunch break? Is it with your grandkids on the Sunday morning? Is it at the kitchen table in the evening when you have a quiet moment alone? Whatever that time looks like in your week, seek it out and make time for nature journaling. I'm going to do the same, and I'm going to report back in 2 weeks and let you know how it went. If you'd like to help get the word out to more nature journalers about the Journaling with Nature podcast, please do give it a positive rating or review wherever you listen to podcasts, or just send an episode to a friend. Thank you so much for listening. See you next week.